Welcome in to Duval Daily presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we are looking at foundational pieces for your Jacksonville Jaguars. We're still kind of in this bye-week mode. The Jaguars do have a Week 12 contest against the Ravens coming up. We'll get into that starting on Wednesday. But for right now, we're still looking at the big picture here with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so I just kind of wanted to take a look at which players on the current roster are foundational pieces. And when I look at a foundational piece, I think it's kind of hard to define what that is in the modern NFL with free agency, with trades. There's just so much that can happen from offseason to offseason, from week to week. But the way I'm looking at these players and these foundational pieces is, do I have a strong belief based on what the organization has done with these players, the investments they've made, the way they've talked about them, that these players will be on the roster and will be focal points of the roster heading into not 2023, but heading into 2024? Are they going to be pieces that this roster is built around over the next 2 to 3 seasons? That's the way I'm looking at this, which eliminates a lot of potential players that I do think are big pieces of what the Jaguars are trying to do, but based on their contract situations, there's a chance, at least a relative chance, that they are not on the roster heading in to 2024. If you're just talking about 2023, this list grows a ton, but I'm talking about real foundational pieces. Who are you building this roster around? And so that's how we're going to judge this. And for right now, we're just sticking to the offensive side of the ball. We will do the defensive side of the ball as well. But we'll run through the depth chart and talk about these players and see who really is a foundational piece for this Jaguars football team. Who is going to be around long term? And the definition of long term has greatly changed in recent times because of just how much movement there is on NFL rosters from year to year. So we're saying long term is they are part of this roster, part of this Jacksonville Jaguars football team in 2024. That's how we're going to roll. I'd like to remind you to follow me on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo, Generation Jag, or at Generation Jag. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and you can also hit the notification bell so you don't miss a show on YouTube. Really appreciate your support. Could not be here without y'all. Could not be doing this without y'all. So, it starts for me with this offense, and this is going to be the only coach that appears on this list. It is Doug Peterson. He is the catalyst for this entire organization right now. And you can say a lot about his game management this year and different things, but he has designed an offense that is effective in the NFL. It's effective with the pieces they have. Has he always made the right decisions in terms of mitigating risk with this young team? No. But this is an effective offense. There are plays there to be made nearly every time they line up. And it's just on the players to execute. So Doug Peterson, I absolutely believe, will be in Jacksonville in 2024. I think he has set a nice foundation with this roster, with this team. I think the culture is shifting. I think there's full player buy-in. And I think, like I said, this offense, it's the most effectively designed offense that we've seen in Jacksonville maybe ever. Yeah, I said that. Maybe ever. I'm not saying it's better than Mark Brunell and Jimmy Smith and Fred Taylor and Keenan and Tony and all these guys. But those teams had elite talent that were entering the prime of their career or in the prime of their career. The Jaguars aren't quite there yet. But I think from an offensive design standpoint, Doug's doing it better than anyone ever has in Jacksonville. So he's absolutely part of the foundation of the Jaguars offense. Now looking at the players, start with quarterback. Yes, Trevor Lawrence is a foundational piece for this Jaguars offense. He's taken a big leap in year 2. He's been hot the last few weeks, putting up really impressive performances against the Raiders and the Chiefs. So you love what you see with Trevor Lawrence. He was the first overall pick in 2021. Again, he's in year 2, first year in the Doug Peterson system. He is the Jaguars' foundational piece of the entire roster, but certainly of the offense. He is the focal point of the offense. The second focal point of the offense, when you look at running back, Travis Etienne, he is absolutely another foundational piece. He's in his second year as a pro. The Jaguars have him under control on his rookie contract if they want through his 5th year. And so they've got plenty of time with Travis Etienne. He's a young, explosive running back who is leading the league in explosive runs of 40 yards or more. He's a home run waiting to happen. He's starting to run with more power and finish runs better. He's starting to show more ball control. He's starting to improve in pass protection. Travis Etienne, absolutely a foundational piece for this Jacksonville Jaguars offense. And these two pieces, you look at where they came from. First-round picks in 2021. They both came out of Clemson. Trent Baalke paired them together. And whether that was his decision or someone else's decision, they are here now, and they are clearly foundational pieces of the Jaguars offense. Travis Etienne might already be a top 5 back in the NFL. I think he's certainly a top 10 back. I don't think you could pull many coaches or GMs and find 10 backs that they would rather have over Travis Etienne. There are no more foundational pieces at quarterback or running back, right? You've got C.J. Beathard as your backup quarterback, obviously not a foundational piece. You like having him, but he could certainly stay or go. JaMychal Hasty, Snoop Connor at running back, these are certainly not foundational pieces. Looking at wide receiver, Christian Kirk. He is a foundational piece for the Jaguars. This is a guy the Jaguars signed this past offseason, signed him to a 4-year deal. Their really big out in the contract really comes after year 3, which would be after the 2024 season. If they decided to move on from him prior to 2024, they'd be eating $10 million of dead money. And so I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they should do that. Christian Kirk is the perfect slot option for the Jaguars in this Doug Peterson scheme. Doug knows how to best utilize his skill set in the slot, from the slot. And I think when you look at Christian Kirk, there's absolutely no reason to move on from him early at this point. He's had a few more drops than you would like, but he's producing at a level that we have not seen from a Jaguars receiver in over half a decade. And I think that, again, perfect fit for what Doug Peterson does offensively. Doug and him are just such a great pairing, lining up Christian Kirk in the slot. Don't think Zay Jones or Marvin Jones or Jamal Agnew or Tim Jones or Kendrick Pryor. I don't think any of these guys are foundational pieces for the Jaguars. Marvin Jones is 33. He will be 33 in 2023. But he's on the final year of his deal. Zay Jones signed a 3-year deal, so he very well could be on the roster in 2024, but I don't think you're moving forward with him long term. And the Jaguars, if they choose to, could cut ties with Zay Jones relatively cheaply and save some cap space following the 2023 season. Don't know if they will or not, because I do think he provides a quality underneath target that has speed and explosiveness. We'll see how that plays out, but I don't consider him a foundational piece. A player who I do consider a foundational piece, and this might come as a surprise considering he's never stepped foot on the field for the Jaguars, is wide receiver Calvin Ridley. The Jaguars traded for him prior to the deadline. He's still serving his indefinite suspension for betting on the game, but the Jaguars expect him to be reinstated early next year. He can apply for reinstatement February 15th. Jaguars expect him to be reinstated prior to the 2023 season. He will not be under contract beyond 2023, but I don't think Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson make this trade if they don't plan to bring Calvin Ridley in and keep him around beyond the 2023 season. I think this is a long-term foundational piece, and when you talk about Calvin Ridley on the football field, this is a guy who explodes off the line of scrimmage. He puts defenders in conflict immediately with that explosiveness off the line. And then his route running is superb, gets in and out of breaks incredibly quickly. He's a ball winner, has a good catch radius. He is a wide receiver 1 in the NFL, a borderline top 10 receiver. And I think the Jaguars view him as such, and I think they're going to treat him as such, and they're going to try to keep him around as long as they can to continue to support Trevor Lawrence and continue to give Trevor Lawrence options. So far we've got Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, and Doug Peterson as our foundational pieces on offense. I don't think there are any foundational pieces at tight end. Evan Ingram could stick around after the year, but he's on a 1-year deal right now. Chris Manhertz, final year of his deal. He's not a foundational player. Dan Arnold, final year of his deal. Not a foundational player. Luke Farrell's in year 2. I don't think you can look at him as a foundational player at this point. Has not done nearly enough. Has not had the opportunity to do enough to even talk about him in that light. That leads us to the offensive line, which I think is the most interesting part. Because you've got Cam Robinson, who signed a big deal this offseason. Brandon Sheriff signed a big deal this offseason. Jawan Taylor's playing pretty well. Luke Fortner is a rookie third-round pick. At left guard, you've got Ben Barch, who's on IR. You've got Tyler Shatley. You've also got Walker Little as your backup right tackle. Who among these players is a foundational piece? I'll go ahead and start with Luke Fortner. He was a Jaguars third-round pick, immediately thrust into the starting lineup at center. He has performed very well for the Jaguars over the course of his rookie year. He has improved throughout the year. I think he absolutely is the Jaguars starting center for at least the duration of his rookie contract, and he's in year 1. So you talk about year 2, 2023, year 3, 2024, year 4, 2025. So I think he's going to be the Jaguars starting center for at least the next 4 years. You look at Tyler Shatley and Ben Barch at left guard. I don't think either of those players are necessarily foundational pieces. Tyler Shatley has 1 more year on his deal. He's a veteran player over the age of 30. Ben Barch, he's in his 3rd year with the team. Next year will be his final year on his rookie deal. I think the Jaguars like Ben Barch. I liked what I saw from Ben Barch for most of this season before his injury. He's a big athletic specimen that passes the eye test, and he's developed technically throughout his young career. He could be a long-term fixture at guard, but contract situation and lack of long-term success from him so far kind of indicates that could be more up in the air. Looking at the tackles, Cam Robinson. He signed a 3-year deal with the Jaguars this past offseason. The Jaguars technically do have an out in that contract following 2023. Will Cam Robinson have lived up to his contract? Will the Jaguars want to continue to pay him in 2024? I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that question. And because I don't know the answer to that question, I cannot include him as a foundational piece, even though he will assuredly be the Jaguars starter at left tackle next year. I don't know what it'll look like beyond that, because this is an $18 million player per year. Is he playing at that level? I don't think he is. I think he's playing fine. I do. I think he's a quality starting left tackle, slightly above average. But are you going to continue to pay that salary for slightly above average beyond 2023? Maybe he takes another step forward. He's taken a step forward in every year that he has played so far. Maybe in 2023 he proves that he does deserve that contract. We'll see how that plays out. Jawan Taylor, he's in the final year of his deal at right tackle. Has he played like a foundational piece in 2022? I think he's played close to that level, but in the 2 biggest opportunities he had to really show the world what he's made of, it's kind of floundered against the Eagles and the Chiefs. Really tough matchups, no doubt about it. So I don't know about Jawan Taylor. That's another up in the air one. I don't think he's a foundational piece based on his contract situation. And then you've got Walker Little, 2nd round pick in 2021, 45th overall. When he has been in the game at left tackle, He's shown some good things. He's clearly got talent, but he has not played much football at all over the last 3 years, dating back to his days in college. Last 4 years. So I don't think you can look at him as a foundational piece. I mean, if he was a foundational piece, wouldn't the Jaguars want him in the starting lineup in year 2? I think so. And then Brandon Sheriff, right guard. Big money right guard. One of the most talented guards in the game today. An absolute weapon in the running game. A guy who is usually very effective in pass protection. Has had some disappointing performances in his first year with the Jaguars. But overall has played very well. Another $18 million offensive lineman. The Jaguars also have an out in his contract following the 2023 season. Do I think he is definitely here for 2024? I'm not sure. He's getting up there in age a little bit. Not a young buck anymore. He's dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career. How will the Jaguars handle this offensive line long term? Because I think they like what they have, and I like what they have overall. I think Brandon Sheriff's really good. I think Cam Robinson's good enough. I think Jawan Taylor, probably good enough. I think Walker Little, probably good enough. I like Luke Fortner. I think between Ben Barch and Tyler Shatley, you're fine at left guard. Could you upgrade? Sure. You could upgrade. But I think they like what they have here with this offensive line, with this group. Keep them together. Keep them under Phil Rauscher. Maybe that's how you handle it. But we'll see. I think it's up in the air based on these contract situations mainly. Cam Robinson getting paid a ton of money. Brandon Sheriff getting paid a ton of money. Jawan Taylor, if you want to keep him around, he's going to have to get paid a ton of money. So I don't know. I don't know if these guys are part of the offensive line in 2024 or not. If they're not, the Jaguars will need to heavily invest in the positions that we're talking about over the next couple years in the draft and potentially buying low on some free agents that could potentially become starters. We'll see how it plays out. But for me, again, looking at who is a foundational piece, I'm defining this by saying players that will be a big part of the Jaguars' plans in the 2024 season. We've got Trevor Lawrence, we've got Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, and Luke Fortner on the offensive side of the ball. We will do the defensive side of the ball as well, but we're going to save that for a different episode, a different show, either later today or most likely Wednesday, November 23rd is when we'll do the defense, and I think that'll have some really interesting conversations and players to look at as well. But that's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in, Duval. Hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Let me know what you think of this list. Again, it's Trevor Lawrence, it's Travis Etienne, it's Christian Kirk, it's Calvin Ridley, and it's Luke Fortner on the offensive side of the ball for the Jaguars. They're foundational pieces. Let me know what you think. You can also follow Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. Hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Of course, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a show. You can also check out genjag.com, pick up some Duval gear. Today is the final day to pre-order your Jax Varsity sweatshirt. It's available for pre-order only on genjag.com. You can also become a channel member here on YouTube. We've got links in the description below. Have a great one, Duval.